Welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about my experience with Fleet Pride building me a new drive shaft. Now, total cost for this new drive shaft was $541, and you're probably about to ask yourself, hey Josh, if you just paid $541 for a new drive shaft, why are you working on a drive shaft right now? Funny story, I'll tell you. So I took my drive shaft in there 13 days ago at this point. When I walked in the door with it, they looked at me and said, "Oh, that's going to be expensive. You want us to call you with a quote?" And quite frankly, I really didn't care about a quote. I simply wanted my truck back. So I told them, "No, I don't need a quote. I need it fixed." So even though I already told them I didn't want a quote, when I set it on the counter, they looked at it again. They said, "That's going to be expensive. We'll call you with a quote." So I waited the entire day. I dropped it off early in the morning. And I gave them a call at 4 o'clock because I knew they closed at 5. And I said, "Yeah, I dropped off a drive shaft." At this point, I realized they didn't even take my last name when I dropped the thing off. And I said, "You guys said you were going to call me with a quote. So I was wondering if you had that ready yet." So they put me on hold, and then came back on and said, "We didn't have time to get the quote together today for you. We'll call you tomorrow morning with the quote." Next morning came and went, and it was the afternoon. So I gave them a call again, said, "Yep, I called yesterday. Dropped the drive shaft off. You guys were going to call me with a quote. And wondered if you had that ready for me yet." Put me back on hold. And they come back and say, "No, we don't have your quote ready yet." So at that point I said, "Okay, when I came in here, you told me it was going to be 2 to 3 days to get this done. It's now been 1.5 days and you don't even have the quote ready yet." To which I was told, "Well, you want a quote, so that's why it's taking longer." So I informed the guy that I did not want a quote, just like I told them when I went in there. And if it makes the process any faster whatsoever, just do the job, get it done, so I can have my truck back. Now, at that point, he said, "Okay, yeah, that'll make it faster." And the next day, they called me with a quote. And basically, they named every part in the drive shaft and told me it was $541. So I said, "Do it. Do it." Now, 4 days went by. I didn't give them the full 5 because they told me 3 to 5 days here. And I gave a call just to try to keep them moving. And I said, "Hey, I really need this truck. Is there any chance that this drive shaft's going to be done today?" At that point, they put me on hold for 35 minutes. Then the guy that picked up came back and he said, "Fleet Pride, how can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I was talking to Steve, and he was going to check on a quote for me, and he seemed like he didn't really remember that." Oh my God, I forgot about you." So he puts me back on hold and calls the Cheektowaga branch, which is what they must have been doing every time they were putting me on hold. And he comes back and he says, "Yeah, they're working on it right now, and it'll be ready for you tomorrow." Then I asked him, I say, "Should I give you a follow-up phone call tomorrow to make sure?" He says, "Yeah, call me at the same time." So the next day I called back at 1:30 and he told me that, he put me on hold, and then he called over to the Cheektowaga place and found out, supposedly, they were working on my drive shaft right then, and it would be ready for me at 4:30 when I could get out there to pick it up. So, okay, great. So a couple hours go by. Now it's 3:30. I receive a phone call from Fleet Pride. And the guy that I haven't talked to at this point, and he tells me that they told him to give me a call and tell me my drive shaft wasn't going to be done. So I said, "No, that's impossible. I talked to Steve 2 hours ago, and he said it'd be ready for me at 4:30. And he goes, well, I don't know why you talked to Steve. He's from the Rochester branch and your drive shaft's in Cheektowaga. And then seeing how his area code was from Rochester, I asked this gentleman where he worked, and he told me it was Rochester, so I don't even understand what that statement meant. And then I said, no, I talked to Steve 2 hours ago. He told me he was going to be ready for me at 4:30. And he goes, well, sir, that's impossible because I have the yokes for your drive shaft right here. They shipped them here. So at some point I was lied to. Either they were not working on my drive shaft, or this guy's lying to me about the yokes and why I won't have it. So anyhow, he says he's sending them over to Cheektowaga, and then he will get the drive shaft back the following day and I can pick it up. So the next morning, Cheektowaga calls me and they tell me my drive shaft's done. So I say, great. It'll be over at the Rochester branch at 4:30 for me to pick it up. And then they tell me, I just need your credit card information to pay for this. And they said, wait, why? Why am I paying you over the phone? I took this into the Rochester branch. Don't I just pay them when I get there? He said, no, you got to pay us. So I get out my credit card and I read it to him. What if I was paying cash? I mean, did I not have the option to pay cash here? Maybe I should have just said that. But anyhow, I give him all my credit card information. Then he tells me that, okay, I'm going to go run this card and your drive shaft will be there. Now, if you know anything about credit card processing, it's illegal to write down my information. And that's exactly what he must have done, seeing how he said it. Now I'm going to go process this card. I doubt he memorized, 16 digits, a 3-digit code on the back, and the date that it expired. Don't think so. So, the next day, I go pick up my drive shaft without this on it. I took the old one in with one. Well, apparently they lost it and they didn't know I needed one, so they didn't charge me for it, but I had a useless drive shaft at that point. And then I asked for my old drive shaft so I could compare it, and they didn't have it. That was in Cheektowaga. So basically I told the guy at that point, I don't even know if this is my drive shaft. I'm not comfortable at all here. You keep it. And this guy, he called over to Cheektowaga, and the guy that picked up in Cheektowaga, he was too busy because they had customers. It's not like I was a customer or anything. A customer that already paid for something and was supposed to be picking it up. 10 days in when I was told 2 to 3 to start? So I guess they don't care about customers that have already paid. I guess they don't care about customers that have already paid. So basically I'm told at that point by the gentleman in Rochester that he'll call over there tomorrow and get somebody else on the phone that can give him an answer. And I told him at that point, I said, okay, you take this drive shaft back. I'll tell you what I want. I want all of my old parts back with this when I get it back here. And I want this done as soon as possible. And I told him, if you guys can't handle this tomorrow and run out to Cheektowaga, you let me know and I'll do the running. So they called me in the morning. They told me I could in fact drive out to Cheektowaga. Thank you. $50 in fuel. Drove all the way out there, and I was handed this yoke. After they still couldn't, find mine. They had one on the counter that wasn't mine. Mine was damaged anyhow. They were supposed to replace it, but they couldn't find mine, so we couldn't identify exactly what I needed. They said, here, take this, try that. So, at least they didn't charge me for that, or try to charge me for that. But I then drive out to Rochester, and I pick up my drive shaft that I left there the day before. Stupid move on my part. I should have just kept the damn thing. Come home and find out that this doesn't fit. Now that's Saturday, so I had to wait till Monday. So I could finish this now. So I drew up a diagram of what was supposed to fit on there and sent it over to the guy in Cheektowaga. He gave me a call within an hour of me emailing that to him. And he said, okay, we've identified it. They've got one in Rochester, which means they have one there the entire time. And if we could have just spent some time figuring it out, maybe I would have been okay last Friday. But nobody can seem to come up with ideas like that over there at Fleet Pride. So today I drove back out there, picked this up, and now I'm putting it together. Then as an added little bonus, they didn't give me any clips for my universals either, so I wouldn't have been able to put this together, but fortunately I was over at my buddy Eric's at All American Diesel, and I was talking about this story with him, and fortunately he had a couple and was able to give them to me so I can finish my truck because I didn't even get all the parts to finish it. Now, they did give me this yoke also for free today, so I guess I made out there. But again, with all the extra running I had to do and everything, this is a total loss. So I just went to go throw that drive shaft in, and while I was under there, I noticed that the transfer case felt a little loose. The guy I bought this truck off of doesn't seem like he was very great at tightening bolts, because this isn't the first instance I've had. And I guess it's my fault for not just going through and checking it all. So there's like 2 bolts holding that transfer case in. The tail shaft on the transmission is broken. There's a couple chips up top, so at least two of the mounting points aren't doing anything. So now I get to do a tail shaft, so I don't know. It'll be somewhere up there. I haven't figured it out yet, but as usual, I'll figure it out.